All right, what is up, roofers and contractors? And so in this video, we are going to be covering a couple different things. The first is two current clients of ours here at Awaken and Growth that decided to go with us, and now their lives and their companies have changed. And so I kind of want to run you guys through their testimonials, their stories, what they did right, and then eventually some of the common pitfalls we see contractors make, which keeps them stuck in the same cycle over and over again. And so hopefully by watching this, you guys can take at least just one thing of value and apply it into your own contracts and company moving forward. And so let's start with Gerald. So meet Gerald. Gerald has been the client of ours for over 10 months now, and he spent close to $20,000 with us in ad spends. And exactly what we do is completely done for you meta ads for all of our contractors. And I'll break this down a little bit later, but essentially qualifying the lead, booking them with our US-based human concierge team. And so making your life as simple as showing up and closing the deal. That's it. That's the goal. And here's some social proof as well to kind of back what I'm saying and to show you guys exactly inside our clients' ad manager. And this is what most marketing companies actually won't do. They won't show you the inside of their clients' accounts. And so as you guys can see here, $18,085.19. We've been running two separate campaigns, but mainly just one campaign. Now, typically how we do things here is if we have a retargeting campaign, we'll do that in a separate campaign, but we typically like to do one campaign, one ad set, and then, of course, with the latest Andromeda update, getting a little bit more tactical if you're unfamiliar with Andromeda. Andromeda was an update by Meta, which happened roughly, it's been around for a while, but it only really became popular 3-ish to 4-ish months ago. And it basically says to marketers, hey, we want more creative diversity. And so this doesn't mean just changing one or two words in the hook or just changing the color of a video or a photo. This means entirely different concepts in your ads. And this is going to allow it to distribute to the best market it seeks fits in your audience. And so we like to go broad as well when we come down to the ad set level, right? So we have campaign level, we have ad set level, and then we have ads. And so ad set is where we essentially do all of the targeting here. And as you guys can see here, amount spent, and then of course all the results. And our average CPL is roughly 35 to 36-ish dollars. And what we will see when it comes to qualified appointments is that 1 out of every 2 to 3 leads will be a qualified appointment. Now, this is the nature of meta ads. And so if this sounds surprising, let's do some math here. And so with an average cost of $35 per cost per lead, that means we're looking at a $70 to $105 cost per qualified appointments. And so if you have a completely dialed in sales process, this means your CAC, or also known as your cost per acquisition for a closed job, is under $500 if you're closing 1 out of every 5 deals, let's say. Let's say, for the sake of the example, simple math, $100 cost per qualified appointments. If you have a completely dialed in sales process and you're closing at least bare minimum 20%, then your CAC is under $500. And we'll take that any day of the week in order to get a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 job. And so in my latest video, I actually broke down the lifetime value to CAC and understanding this equation in business and how it applies to your company, and that understanding your numbers and understanding essentially this equation will allow you to put your money where it's best spent. Think of your money as soldiers. This was the Kevin O'Leary analogy when he was on Shark Tank. And that is, I think of my money as soldiers. I want them to go out into the battlefield, capture enemies, and bring more enemies back home. Now, you want your money to multiply, of course. And so understanding this equation will allow you to understand how you can improve your marketing and, by extension, make more money. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. What we really care about is a crystal clear ROI. And so We ran multiple different ad sets. We like to think of ad sets as pockets of people. Sometimes if a ad might have some slight fatigue, that's okay, completely normal. It probably didn't reach the right pocket of persons. And so what does this mean? One tactic here when it comes to media buying to you roofers and contractors is that we can just duplicate the ad set, launch brand new ads, and just let the ads rip. So that's typically how it works and what we've seen work best. And then, of course, we have the ads here. And as you guys can see here, again, the cost per result, we have 46, 37, 35, 34, right? And as you guys can see here, thousands of dollars this client and I have spent together over the course of the last 10 months. And so how do we actually do this, right? So now going back to the Miro board here, now, the way we do this is actually done through authority, framing, and personalized content. In marketing, for you roofers and contractors, the more personal, the better. That's facts. Nowadays, people don't like to be sold things down their throat anymore. And think about it like this: you wake up, you're constantly bombarded by ads on Meta, on TikTok, on television when you come home from work and you're just trying to casually sip a beer and you're getting bombarded with commercial breaks and ads being thrown at you, or when you're driving and you see billboards. And so people don't like to be sold things anymore down their throat. And that's facts. People are tired of it. And so we do this, and the way we work around this is by making you a perceived authority in your service area. And so when it comes down to it, homeowners for your company typically care about two primary things. Now, yes, there are other things involved, but two primary things. And those are A, do you do amazing quality work? And B, at fair prices. You're not the cheapest, but you're also not the most expensive. You're probably in the middle, closer to the most expensive part. And to be honest, when we work with brand new clients, we tell them, do not cut your prices. Do not cut your prices at all, because it's going to eat into your margins. You then won't make that extra few $1,000s to reinvest back into the company. And essentially, at the end of the day, you've just lost money for no reason, because you're selling a commodity. And when you sell commodities, it's a race to the bottom. And so I'll tell you guys as well, like here at Awaken and Growth, we aren't the cheapest. And on our consultation calls, we want to understand how we can help you and make sure it's a fit. But telling you guys right now, and we aren't the cheapest, but we're also not, 30, 40 grand a month like some other companies. And so we are a premium product, and that's because of the value that we actually provide to the companies that we work with. And like I said, it's a completely done for you marketing system. And so within the time to value aspect as well, which is super, super important, because our job to all of our clients is to make you guys an ROI ASAP, immediately. And so proof of concept here is that, within the first 60 days of working with us, Gerald's collected or had over 60 plus qualified appointments in less than 60 days working with us. And so again, our job is to make you guys be put in front of as many homeowners as possible. And so in addition to that, this is Neri. Neri is one of our youngest clients, only at 22. And to be completely honest with you guys, I thought he was actually a marketer on our consultation call, and I told him to get lost. I told him, dude, I can't help you. Continue door knocking, because I thought he was a marketer. Come to find out, he was an actual legit company, and we hopped on the call the following week. We started working together, and within this first month of working with us, he closed over $50,000 in revenue for his roofing company. And so at the end of the day, what it really just comes down to is, do we have a scalable, predictable acquisition channel? Not just relying on word of mouth, referrals, SEO that takes 6 months to compound onto itself and to actually start seeing results there. Time to value is the most important thing when buying something new. And so, as you guys have seen here, we've portrayed this through Gerald's with his company in Oregon. with Neri, and he now is focused on super ambitious plans moving into 2026. And and we can kind of break down also the common pitfalls and mistakes that we've seen contractors make in their careers. And it's a really unfortunate thing because I've spoken to thousands of roofers, and we've now worked with over 40 other contractors. Some contractors that we spoke with on our consultation calls just simply weren't a good fit. But we have seen time and time again mistakes that people make. Some of those mistakes include not having a dialed in sales process. And so, going back to Gerald's example or the example in general of us telling our contracting clients not to cut their price at all. Now, this comes with having an amazing sales team. Think about it like this. If you in your contracting company had the best roofing salesperson in the country, in the nation, on your team, if he was on your team, would you cut your price, or do you think he would be able to close the job even if you guys increased your price by 15, 20%? He would go in, he would close the deal, and he would sell the job. Business at the end of the day is essentially hiring good players, hiring a talent, and just letting them do their thing, getting out of their way. And so, with not having a dialed in sales process, whether it's they're not following up with their leads, speed to lead, they don't have a workflow either within their CRM or using other softwares like Go High Level for their email and SMS nurture series to kind of pre-handle objections with their prospects or give value, whether it be education type value, testimonial type value, story type value. They don't have any of this. And so they just show up to the job. They from whether it's an appointment through a colder acquisition channel as opposed to referrals, and then they don't close the job, and then they say, it was the lead was poor. And so I just want to reiterate, guys, the importance to your company of having a completely dialed in sales process. Now, what does the sales process actually look like, and how can you actually acquire talent? Now, acquiring talent is a really tough thing to do. And so we could do this one of two ways for your company. The first is hire and train. And B, the second is hire a recruiting agency and let them train them for you if you don't know anything. If this is option B is more so if you have additional capital, which if you are a multi seven figure or eight figure a year contracting company, the capital should be no problem because the returns on a really good sales rep and a really good sales process are exponential, not just linear. And so, again, just to reiterate, either hire and train them yourself or hire a recruiting agency or a sales rep manager and let them do the recruiting for you if you are the founder and your time is cut and spread really thin across the company itself. Because especially as founder, your job in your roofing company is to focus on the highest leveraged thing possible. If you are the founder of a roofing company that's doing multi seven figures and multi eight figures a year, and you catch yourself working on AI workflows, I think your time could be spent better elsewhere. It's more about saving your time because at the end of the day, and as we see here for one of the common mistakes for the contractors that we've spoken with, and again, I've been in this industry for a while now. I've spoken to thousands of contractors, and one of the other biggest mistakes is just not investing into themselves and the company. And so at the end of the day, you either pay with one or two things, and that's time or money. And so I'll tell you guys about a quick story about a current client of ours, and this is a good thing and both a bad thing. And here's the story as it follows. So we recently started working with a brand new client of ours 2 weeks ago. Great dude, great company, but here's the kicker. Him and I initially spoke over 2 months ago. Yes, it was winter. Yes, it might have been slow for the time being, but in the interim, from when he didn't join the program, and on our follow-up consultation call, which happened roughly 3 weeks ago, I ran through his goals, I ran through his numbers, I ran through the expectations, I ran through his company over again, getting a high-level overview of what he has going on, what he's tried, what he's done, et cetera, et cetera. And I asked him, so listen, man, I know that you and I, we spoke, 2.5, 3 months ago, and I just want to make clear, like, what have we done in that period since then? And the unfortunate answer was he didn't do anything. And so if you are not going to be doing anything and not going to be paying with money, you then pay with time. And at the end of the day, this costed him tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of jobs in that period. And so I'll tell you guys also, but at the end of the day, he decided that enough was enough. I need to get rolling into the investments into myself, into the company, so that I can fill my sales reps calendar and make them busy, as opposed to me being in the leadership position and having to answer for the lack of lead flow going on. And that's also what we've experienced as well. Contractors coming to us and they have the crew, they have the sales reps, but what's missing is, again, a scalable, predictable acquisition channel. And so here at Awaken and Growth, this is what we've done now, and we've served over 40 contractors nationwide. And we've made our clients millions in the past year alone. And it's a completely done for you system. So all you guys have to do is show up and close the job. That's it. And in addition to that, a third mistake in which I see contractors make is not knowing your numbers or your goals, both short and long term. And so on our calls, on our consultation calls, we ask our clients about the average cost per acquisition, the average cost per lead. And we want to know these things. We want to know your goals business wise within the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, so that we can reverse engineer those goals and create a predictable, tangible action plan to get there over the next 90 days, over the next 180 days, or whatever it so be. And so I also personally have never seen a marketing company or a contracting company scale past multi six figures a month without understanding their data. And for your contracting company, in order to get that eight figure a year mark, it really just comes down to sales, marketing, systems, and an amazing team. As simple as it sounds, of course, it's much harder done than said, but that's really it in its simple terms. And so you need to understand your data. You need to understand the analytics. You need to understand the KPIs of your company, because if you don't, you're not going to understand where the bottlenecks come from. And by extension, you can't diagnose those problems with solutions. And that's that. And it's almost like walking in a forest late at night and only being able to see the first step in front of you, as opposed to having a flashlight and seeing 15, 20 yards in front of you. It's like, if you can't see where you're going by having the right information and tools, in this case being the flashlight, then you're going to stumble, you're going to fall over rocks, you're going to trip. And even if you do have all the tools and all the data and you can see 20 yards in front of you, it's still going to be an uphill battle. That's business at the end of the day. That's marketing. And I want to talk to you guys also about a last concept, which is cold and warm markets for our clients and for the contractors that we speak with, who oftentimes might say, I didn't close the job, because we didn't have a dialed in sales process, like I was speaking before. And that's with meta ads. We have referrals, which is a warm market, obviously word of mouth. You did an amazing job. Here's my friends. They're also in need of a roof. Hit them up. And then we also have B2C, meta ads, Google, SEO, or whatever it might be. And this is a slightly colder market. With having a colder market, it takes more energy. It takes more inertia. It takes a better acquisition and a better sales process to close the job. And now this really just comes back full circle to B2C sales and marketing. If you guys are not following up with the leads with a nurture series, with and potentially an AI call center, or with your office-based, human-based call center, then leads are just going to simply fall through the cracks. And most of our closes here at Awaken and Growth do come from, I would say, follow-ups with most of our clients. And if you don't do the follow-ups in your own contracting company, then we're essentially missing out on tons of money. And that's the ROI that we care about. Of course, we are providing a service to our service area, to our town, to the people around us. But at the end of the day, if we don't have any money coming in, then how can you serve these people in the best way possible? You can't. And if you don't do it, then somebody else will. And so I just kind of want to reiterate the entire point of this video, and that was to show you guys proof of concept about Gerald spending almost $20,000 with us, working with us for 10-ish months now. And it's really all about personalized and authority driven content on Meta. Time to value is super important for all of our clients because we want you to get an ROI as quick as possible. And like I said earlier, we aren't the cheapest, we aren't the most expensive, we are a premium service. And that's how, because it's an entire done for you system where all you guys simply have to do, either as you as founder of your market or of your contracting company or your sales reps, we just want you guys to show up to the job, to the qualified appointment, close the deal, and that's that. And obviously stack your ROI and stack the quickest return as possible. In addition to that, here's Neri, our youngest client, now only 22 years old, over 50K in rev, working with us within his first 30 days. And he found a scalable, predictable acquisition channel. And that's what most of the clients or most of the prospects that we speak with lack. They don't have a scalable, predictable acquisition channel. And another mistake we see them have is not investing into themselves, not investing into their company. And you're either paying with time or money, like the story I told you earlier from the client that we had previously who did nothing, or essentially, I'm not saying he didn't do anything entirely, but essentially he didn't invest in that 2.5 to 3 month window, and we've lost on hundreds of thousands of dollars because that's the way we should be viewing it, as opposed to just I just didn't do anything. And then in addition to that, not knowing your numbers, not having a dialed in sales process. And so if you are a roofer or contractor looking to add an additional 15 to 30 plus qualified exclusive appointments a month without relying on word of mouth or shared leads from Angie's or Home Advisors, click the link under Work With Us in the YouTube bio or in the Instagram bio, and we will see how we can help, if at all, and then we'll kind of break down the program and we'll go from there. And I'll see you in the next. Bye.